Hello and welcome everyone. So we are back with our podcast after a long time. So this is a Diwali special podcast. Akshan was at home this weekend, for Diwali. So today is Diwali, and that's where we are. We wanted to do a quick podcast today as well because this is an auspicious day, and we wanted to have a little bit of interaction about AI on this day. So which is where now that Akshan,
Yeah, so we're doing this offline podcast after 2 months, so this is very exciting.
Yeah, so we did the first one on 15th of August, which was the first podcast which was offline, and then we thought we'd formalize this podcast. And when it was in college, and so this is the first formal podcast where we are sitting face to face. Yeah. So and the occasion is Diwali, which is a huge occasion. So first of all, very happy Diwali to everybody, whoever is watching. And we might not be able to publish it today. We'll take a day or two, but then but still, very happy Diwali to everybody who's watching. And yeah.
So we're doing this after a very long time, and very exciting stuff has happened in the past week or two. OpenAI presented an event, their OpenAI Dev Day event, which announced a lot of exciting stuff. So I think let's dive deep into the event and break down whatever was shown. So
even before you go there, so this Dev Day was different in itself, in the sense that it was like they had huge live audience present, and they are kind of like the way we used to have Apple launch events, right? A big celebration kind of thing. So they have kind of copied that, because if you remember, in August they launched GPT-5, which was supposed to be a big model release, but then the event was not as big. I mean, it was pretty much an online event where they live streamed it, right? But this is a marked shift in how they are doing Dev Days. So that itself was a big thing. Now, let's go to the statistics and stuff that you've seen.
So we can say this is the biggest launch event OpenAI has done in a very long
Dev Day event, yes.
Yeah. So this started with showing some growth metrics, showing that OpenAI has gone from 2 million to 4 million weekly developers.
So they went from 2 million developers to 4 million developers in the span of 2 years, when they did the first Dev Day in 2023, December sometime, right?
Yeah.
So basically that's where they already had 2 million developers using the platform. Now it's gone to 4 million developers, right?
Right.
So that is like 2x increase. Yep.
And ChatGPT has gone from 100 million weekly users to 800 million weekly users.
Yep. So this number seems to be still like it's almost approaching 1 billion users, right?
Yeah.
Which is a huge number. For me, the number for developer increase from 2 million to 4 million is kind of underwhelming. It's not like a huge shift, but then starting with a number of 2 million itself is a big number, right? So we kind of underestimate that. So that's where shifting from 100 million weekly users to 800 million weekly users is pretty huge. And 1 billion, I mean, they're almost approaching 1 billion users. Yep. But the biggest and most staggering statistic for me is they're able to process now 3 quadrillion tokens per year, right? To put that in perspective, so quadrillion is 10 to the power 15, just so everybody's aware, right? Now putting that number in perspective, the total number of words spoken by humans every year is almost 32 quadrillion per year, right? And almost 1/10 of that, 3 quadrillion tokens, they're already processing, right? And this is just for OpenAI. Now, if we, think about Gemini, we think about Anthropic, all other, AI companies which are processing a lot of tokens. So my thought is, at least 7, 8 or 10 quadrillion tokens would already be processed. And the pace at which this is increasing, my guess is by the end of, let's say this year or 6 months, I think number of tokens processed by AI would far exceed the number of total words spoken by humans every year. So that is kind of staggering. That is like absolutely mind-blowing. Right?
Yeah. So, wow, 3 quadrillion, 10 to the power 15.
Yep. 10 to the power 15.
That is, wow.
Cool. So now let's get into some of the, things that they displayed on Dev Day, right? So what was like most interesting according to you?
So the most exciting part of the Dev Day presentation for me was when they used Codex to they gave Codex the access to the cameras and asked Codex to display different light shows for the audience and asked Codex what it was able to see using the camera. That was really exciting. They asked it to send a hi message using the highlighted lights that were present.
Oh, absolutely. So for any developer, anybody who develops with code, that was the most interesting part, and that's what it was supposed to be as well. So they kind of they kind of wanted to show that, live on stage, somebody was able to code and was able to, ask the camera to focus on audience, right? And because, so they did a lot of integrations, and some of it was being done live on the stage. I'm sure they would have, rehearsed it before that. But so basically the crux of the presentation was the camera was able to focus on audience, right? It was able to greet the audience. It was kind of real time analyzing that video feed, and then it was using their real time voice API to communicate with the audience, right? And one of the very interesting aspects of that demonstration was where he was kind of able to integrate Xbox controller with the camera,
Yep.
right? So and then there was some lighting on the stage. So he said basically the API for the lighting was using some C libraries and stuff. So he was thinking that he'll have to integrate through convert those C libraries into JavaScript for node integration and all. But then Codex kind of proposed a very different architecture where it kind of decoded the protocol itself. Instead of going through C, it directly implemented that protocol in JavaScript, right? And that too, so the proposed solution was by Codex itself, because as a developer we always tend to build something on top of existing libraries. So that's where even he was amazed, and I'm amazed. I mean, if I was devising that solution, even I would have thought it about like that only, that you've got a C library, let's write a wrapper on top of it and then use it, right? But then Codex was able to directly write that protocol in JavaScript and was able to focus the light on the audience and stuff. That was pretty amazing to watch. So I totally get your point that as a developer, that was the most exciting thing that somebody could have watched. And the bigger excitement for me was it was able to do a physical, like for example, we see a lot of things in computer, we see a lot of software kind of thing, but then when it controls hardware and when the hardware moves the way you want it to move without any specific coding, that becomes super exciting, right? So I totally agree with you. So that was one of the very interesting parts of the demonstration. But apart from that, there was lots of very, very usable things. And I have a hypothesis on where OpenAI is going, but I'll talk about it a little later. So one of the very interesting things from the perspective of customers is that basically now the whole shopping experience can happen inside of OpenAI, right? Very recently, we saw Google release a protocol, A2P protocol, Agents Payment Protocol, AP2 protocol, right? Which a lot of payment processors, for example, PayPal and Stripe and everybody has kind of integrated very quickly, right? But OpenAI came with a very different mindset. They have integrated payments within the chat interface itself, right? We've been using chat for product recommendations. We've been discussing and iterating over that. Now, if you get an option to buy it from there, chances are you would. I don't know what's your perspective on that.
I am somewhat torn on whether I would want to use that, because many times when you look up a product on suppose Comet or ChatGPT, it actually shows, when you look up an article, it shows the link on top, but you almost never go and click that link, right?
So I would kind of relate it to, so some time back or maybe even now, when you do a Google search, it used to show products earlier and then it started showing buy now on the Google search itself, right? I have never used that. I used to do all my research on Google and then I would go to, let's say Amazon.com or some website where I like reliability is there. I've developed some trust with the website. That's where I would place the order, rather than placing it on Google. I've not done it personally, so I'm not very bullish on this feature that, without even knowing where my order is going, which website is going to, fulfill it, I would not place an order there. right? But maybe because this is AI, maybe they would know that, my preferences are like that, so they will probably tweak it accordingly. So my take on this is from user perspective, not very bullish. But then from technology standpoint, where I say, we will not be browsing internet anymore. We will be asking our agents to do all of this, right? That's where it's very interesting, because everything is coming into that, that one window. You do all the research, you do all the talking, and then you could ask it to buy it for you as well. So that was a hypothesis, which is where the web is moving towards. So that hypothesis is coming true. Whether I would use it now or maybe in 6 months or not at all, that I'm still kind of, I don't know.
Right. So the thing is that I've noticed with myself and a lot of my friends is the shop now option that you see on Chrome. Usually people click on that shop now option just to see more options, because shop now shows the most options as compared to images or all tabs or anything. When you click on shop now, it gives you all the possible retailers for that specific product.
On which website? Where do you see that?
On Chrome, if you've got the option to buy now or shop now on top.
You mean Chrome as in when you're on google.com?
Yeah.
Or which? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So if I am using, suppose if I look up for a pair of shoes on ChatGPT and it only shows me three options, I don't think I would wanna. Maybe it knows my preferences better, but I would want to see more options by myself, at least for now.
Oh, absolutely. In the near term. So human behavior takes time to evolve and change, right?
Yeah.
So that will happen. But the interesting part was that they were able to bring in that shopping experience within the chat window.
Yeah.
Maybe people would use it, maybe they would not. But yeah, so that was one of the things. And then I think you've been interested in agent building, right? So one of the options for that was also there did you kind of focus on that?
They launched an AI agent builder, visual workflow without code. And actually, so the best AI agent builder in the past couple of days was N8N. A lot of people were using N8N to automate their workflow agents.
Yep.
And N8N recently, I believe about 2 weeks ago, came out with an update which changed everything. So when you had... Earlier, when you had to build agents using N8N, it would take a little bit of time. You had to not exactly code yourself, but you have to do a lot of tasks manually.
Okay.
N8N came out with the update where everything could be done with a chat box, and that is exactly what Google AI Agent Builder is.
OpenAI's
OpenAI Agent Builder is.
So basically, the OpenAI Dev Day was pretty much on 6th of October, right?
Yeah.
So my thought is, and the first thing that people came with a feedback after watching this agentic, new agent development kit from OpenAI was they are trying to eat up N8N and similar platforms which are helping in building agents, right? So maybe, I don't know when N8N modified its UI or when did they come up with a similar kind of, whether they did it before this or after that, I don't know. But now the perspective from which I'm looking at it is OpenAI is going head on in competition with these kind of agent builders, right? Now, OpenAI is trying to capture market, for everything. Like, we saw that it's trying to bring in shopping experience within the chat window. Now it's so the agent builder platform, the demonstration that they gave was kind of, they were kind of hyping it up by saying that it's just an 8-minute kind of, within an 8-minute thing, you'll be able to develop and make it production ready and deploy it as well within 8 minutes, right? That was a little bit of hype because all the background work was already done for that agent. But the point is they're trying to make it simple. They're trying to address that market and capture that market as well, right? And chances are, because I'm used to using ChatGPT, I might end up using it, right? I'm saying I might end up because ChatGPT in the past brought in a lot of similar kind of tools and features, which initially people tried and then gave up, right? So unless they're focused on making it, like seamless and a very good experience, and they focus it on long term, I don't know if it will drop off or not. right? But they're trying lots of different things. That's what's interesting for me. So that agent building and so they were able to add scaffolding, and they were able to add, like initial validation kind of guardrails to the agent, and then they were able to bring in two different agent collaboration. All of that was demonstrated, which was very interesting. But yeah, the product as such could be interesting. I haven't tried N8N, so that way I build my own agents, so I'm not really. But from the builder's perspective, the way I build my agents, I can see that all of those blocks were there in their workflow as well. But how much it will be basically customizable for each customer, that we'll have to figure out and do it. But yeah, but they're entering that market where they want you to build agent on their platform. So what was the next thing that you saw there and was interesting for you?
So they did a demonstration and about building an application, a dog walking application. But the most interesting thing was the ability to build applications.
So that was not primarily about application. That was primarily about building a complete startup off of using AI, right?
Yeah.
But I get your point that they've kind of done integrations with a lot of applications in terms of, for example, Canva. They've done integration with Zillow and a lot of other applications, and they've given a toolkit. So tomorrow, if I want to build an application for Codefire and I want it to be available on ChatGPT so that people can use it directly there, that building that kit is already out, right? So if, let's say, for example, we've got Gatekeeper. So what I can do is I can use their toolkit and basically make it available on ChatGPT itself. So somebody asks, my server is not performing or my server is down right now, they can do it on the ChatGPT window itself, right? So that's what's most interesting about the application integration. Some of the integrations they've already, the demonstration that they gave, for example, so the example that you were giving, somebody came up with a dog walking startup, right? So now they can do a presentation, they can build a Excel sheet and everything from within the chat interface.
Yeah.
They can talk to Canva, they can provide inputs, and Canva would probably even so the other day I was kind of for one of the courses that we are kind of building for developers, how to do better vibe coding, right? So that's where I was trying to build a UI for the application. Okay, so I thought if there is an application that can build a Figma for me from my instructions, that will be awesome, right? But that I was doing almost 3 or 4 weeks back. Now it seems they've heard me, or they already integrated Figma into ChatGPT.
Yeah.
You can build the designs there, and then Figma automatically spits out the code, right?
Yeah, we've discussed my favorite part from the Dev Day launch. What would be your favorite aspect of the Dev Day launch? What was your favorite product?
So I have been, a lot of things they've released. They've released Sora, and they've released a lot of Codex models and everything. So they're doing a lot of very interesting things. My biggest takeaway was that OpenAI is trying to, kind of do everything. So they've started a Codex, and now they're pulling in all different kind of applications into it. So my hypothesis is basically right now, let's say, for example, they've integrated with Shopify, they've integrated with Etsy for shopping experience, right? What's stopping them from starting a shopping application tomorrow? The way they've started a job kind of application, right? Job seeking platform. They could start a shopping application tomorrow. And because people already are buying through chat interface, it doesn't matter at all for me whether the thing is coming from Shopify or whether it's coming from Etsy or wherever, right? So they've started a Vortex with the intelligence. Now they are trying to eat up the complete ecosystem, right? They'll bring in these e-commerce shops. They're bringing in the job applications, and with the agent toolkit that they've given, they want to be sitting on all of your websites everywhere, because every website has to be agentic. So now they are going to learn a lot more about your website while they're having customers work on it, right? Work on it using ChatGPT. So the way Google was pretty much omnipresent with Google Analytics, Google Shopping and everything. So OpenAI is trying to become that hub where everything, and it's not scared to eat them up as well. it starts with a very small integration, and then everything goes into that vortex. So that's what my hypothesis is, and that's what's most interesting to watch with these launches. So yeah, apart from that, I mean, obviously there were lots of things that we talked about, and they're trying to build a super app as well, where everything, I mean, ChatGPT itself becomes a super app, right? So that's what my perspective for OpenAI is. And now I don't know if you've heard, they're bringing in login with ChatGPT, right? So that's not just a simple login button. The very interesting thing that it does is, let's say my website, I add their agent on my website. Okay. Yeah. So what will happen is, if somebody comes and searches whatever with the chat agent, ultimately I'll have to burn some API tokens, right? Cost for it to respond to that user. So that all of that cost is on me as a website owner, right? But so what they're proposing is, if somebody is logging in with ChatGPT, then they can use their own tokens, their own account on my site as well for all the interactions. What's beneficial for the user is that if I'm a pro user or if I'm a plus user, I've got access to a lot bigger models. So I'm not limited by what model that website is exposing me to, right? So that seems to be a very interesting proposition for the website owner as well as the consumer. So that's where, OpenAI is doing a lot of very, very interesting things.
So I think we've discussed most of the products that were showed in Dev Day. Is there anything else that we've missed? I don't think so.
So the only thing so basically that shopping thing is still not live in India, right? But they are doing a Razorpay integration with UPI. So we'll hopefully get a very soon we'll get a exposure to that shopping thing with UPI on ChatGPT interface. So that will be interesting for audiences in India. But apart from that, I think we've touched upon pretty much everything that they talked about, right? Yeah. So now we can move on to the next topics that we've got. What else you have?
So Nvidia recently, Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia, he was recently, there was a video of him gifting Elon Musk a supercomputer in the SpaceX headquarters. That was really interesting. The box looked very much like our Mac Studio over there.
Much smaller, actually.
Yeah.
So he kind of related to 2015-16 timeframe when he went to Elon Musk and gave him the DJX Sparc 1, which was the initial model, right? That was also a small box. And now they've made it 5x more powerful. And he went to Elon Musk and delivered it to him, right? And then he probably went to OpenAI headquarters as well, and he delivered it to those. So we saw those pictures on Twitter and videos as well. Yeah. So DJX Sparc is a very interesting hardware. You want to talk about that, or you want me to talk about that, or?
I think you would do it justice. You'd be able to explain it better.
So basically, like we have got Mac Studio, this is like $8,000 pretty much. Yeah, probably a little more. This DJX Sparc is $4,000, 128 gigs of RAM. Right, and it's kind of bringing the power of data center into your house, right? So Mac Studio still lags a little bit. It's not as fast as I assume DJX Sparc would be, but DJX Sparc only has 150 to 128 gigs of RAM. On Mac Studio could still go to 512 and stuff, right? It's a unified memory, which is there, but so if at all you're thinking of investing in hardware, I don't think it's available for everybody right now, but not soon hopefully it will be. Yeah. So that could be a very interesting hardware to buy, so that you can run local inferences, local models at a pretty, high tokens per second rate kind of thing. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it just weighs 1.1 kgs. I'm not sure what our Mac Studio weighs, but yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yep, it's a pretty small
packing
box.
So such high performing hardware in something that small.
Yep.
So now moving on to Google. Google has been doing a lot of exciting stuff as well, a lot of new things. But what has been what has caught your eye?
So basically Google has been doing a lot of, has not been as much in news as everybody else recently. Yeah. But one of the bigger things that came in very recently was basically they've done some, so they have a 27 billion foundational model that was able to generate a novel experimentally validated hypothesis about cancer cell behavior, right? So a lot of people have been kind of claiming that, AI is not doing anything novel. It's primarily only, spitting out things that it has learned during training. So this is a very interesting example that where AI has made a breakthrough in science, particularly in cancer cell behavior, right? So that might not have come out in very big headlines, but that's really important. So that was one thing, and then obviously Google's View. Sora came in some time back with OpenAI, and Sora, for example, was made publicly available, and it's at 1 cent per second kind of like API rate, right?
Yeah.
Not the pro model, but the base model.
Yeah.
Now Google Gemini Google View 3 model was already existing in the market. Like I did a comparison video as well. Now they've come out with View 3.1.
Yeah.
Right? I haven't tried it yet, but it seems like it has got a lot of features where you can give in a lot of multiple images as input, and then it can weave together a video around that, right? And then it can so that's where it's giving you a lot more controls to the user as to how you want the video to move and stuff. So that's where video generation is a new competition which is starting up. And I don't know, have you seen the Sora 2 videos or View 3 videos and all?
I've seen the Sora 2 and View 3 videos, but you just said that we can View 3.1, we can just give it a couple of images and it will be able to create.
Probably more than that. You can give a lot more images, not just 2 images, and it can weave through the video around that. So that's what...
So we can basically create our own stories on the basis of a couple of images. If we write a prompt, it does...
That's the direction that it's taking.
Wow.
I haven't experimented with it yet, so I'm not absolutely sure, but the theory that I've read about it talks on those lines. So unless we try it out, we'll not know for sure. But that's the direction it's taking, that you can give some images and then it weaves together a story around that. How different those images have to be or how similar they have to be, that unless we experiment out and unless we try it out, we would not know. Moving on from Google to Anthropic, right? So Anthropic has been doing a lot of very interesting work, at least from the developers' perspective. They recently launched Claude Skills, right? Have you heard of that?
I am not too sure about Claude Skills, no.
So Claude Skills was, recently launched like a day or two back. So I was kind of trying to wrap my head around it. I was just trying to understand how to use skills. So one of the very interesting things that I kind of saw was, I had done a video about couple months back where I had talked about exactly same concept, right? So the title of my video was use AI to eliminate AI, where I talked about how we can use AI to reduce the dependence on AI. I was trying to eliminate the AI completely, but so Claude Skills also talks about a similar concept where once Claude does a job in a correct way, it will codify it and convert it into a systematic operating procedure and then reuse it rather than using AI every time to execute that task, right? So that's where it kind of looked very interesting to me, but I've still not been able to figure out, how to distinguish what a MCP would do and what a Claude Skills would do. But Claude Skills is completely confined to Claude models right now. It's not an industry standard. So the moment you get into that, you have to be, using only those models. So that's where I haven't experimented. It was recently released, so I haven't even tried it yet. But that's where I'm kind of skeptical. But the concept seems really interesting, that the biggest issue with AI right now is, even if it does one task correctly first time, it will not do it correct second time or third time or fourth time, right? So that's where if they bring in repeatability within AI-driven jobs with Claude Skills, then very soon it will become an industry standard and very quickly people would adopt it. That's what my take on that is. So that way Claude is doing really interesting work in terms of making things, accessible and making things repeatable and giving more control to the developers. Whereas OpenAI is kind of, trying to land grab as much as possible. That's what my thing is. Apart from that, they've released Haiku 4.5 as well, right?
Yeah, they released a new model, Haiku 4.5, a week ago. And the most interesting thing about Haiku 4.5 is, I believe it's 1/3 the cost of Sonnet 4, and it's twice as fast.
Yep.
But the thing is, I've seen a lot of frustrated developers on Reddit complaining that Haiku 4.5 it takes the context tokens used by Haiku 4.5 is the way more than any other model. So ultimately, it's not saving any money for the developers on the Haiku 4.5. It takes as much money. It costs as much as a normal Sonnet 4 model.
Absolutely. So I agree with the figures that you quoted. It's like 3 times, 1/3 the cost of. One is Sonnet 4. So Sonnet has already moved on to 4.5, which is a lot better than 4.0.
Yeah.
But the bottle. So I've been using Sonnet 4.5 very heavily, and it runs for an hour for me almost, and then I have to give it a break of 2.5 or 3 hours, and then it's available again. So but I was hoping that if Haiku 4.5 is almost equivalent to that, and then it can run through the complete day for me, that would have been better. I haven't tried Haiku at 4.5 at all, but the way people are complaining, because it generates a lot more tokens compared to Sonnet. So that's where whatever advances they've made in terms of making it faster, in terms of making it cheaper, might be completely nullified if it's the same number, like a lot more tokens getting generated, because the model is less intelligent, right? So that I've not tried it personally, but yeah, like you've said, you've seen a lot of comments around that. So I agree, but ultimately they have to make some profit out of it, right? So they cannot make everything available for free and stuff. So yeah, but Anthropic is doing a lot of very good things. And then a couple of rumors, right?
Rumors. So I'm going to go back to Google for this one. So two of Google, Gemini 3.0 has been rumored to be released sometime this year.
22nd of October.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so people are so Twitter feed is pretty much full of the experiments people are carrying out with Gemini 3.
Yeah.
They've been able to build a complete operating system like Windows within the browser, and some people have built macOS kind of replica in the browser, right? So
yeah,
the videos seem really interesting. I'm not sure if they're AI generated or they're actual videos. Chances are they're actual, but whether it's Gemini 3 or some other model, I don't know. But if we were to, for example, you've seen something on LM Arena comparisons and all. So there are a couple of coding models available there. What are the names?
So the Gemini 3.0 Pro is supposed to be called Lithium Flow.
Okay.
And the Flash model would be Orion Mist.
Yeah. Okay. So chances are it's available on LM Arena. Then they would very soon be released, and it seems that people are talking about 22nd of October. Let's see if they release it or not. So one is that. Two is, very recently one of the OpenAI executives said that they are going to release GPT-6 this year itself. So in next couple of months, most likely. That would be a big thing if it happens, because they recently, like in August itself, they released GPT-5, which was not a big bang release. People were kind of complaining, and they also did not have the hardware to support it at that point in time. So it was not a very big release, or it was kind of dampened because of those things. But if GPT-6 comes in before end of this year, that will be huge, right? But yeah, we don't have any credible sources to verify that, but let's wait and watch, because currently anyways GPT-5 is doing reasonably well. Cool. So I think, because this being Diwali, we wanted to keep it short, although I don't know how short it will be, but we wanted to do something today because it is an auspicious day, and we wanted to have something out there. Let's see how soon we can compile it and send it out. But yeah, we'll keep it short, and hopefully we'll do so Akshun had his exams, like midterm exams and stuff, which is where we could not do the podcast for last 2 or 3 weeks. But hopefully he'll be relatively free at least for a couple of weeks, and then he has end sems. So basically we'll probably do 1 or 2 podcasts before his end sems. So yeah, but this is a quick one because he's at home and we wanted to do something on Diwali, so we did it today. And hopefully, I don't know if you guys had already followed the OpenAI Dev Day release. If not, we've covered it for you. And if you have, and if you think we've missed something, feel free to add on the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and happy Diwali everybody once again.
Happy Diwali.